Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to Bramley Motor Cars, I'm taking you on an in-depth exterior and interior tour and exhaust sound video of this 2020 Ferrari 488 Pista Spider. Bramley Motor Cars had this car for sale at the time of filming, and still have many other high-specification cars for sale at the time of publishing. All of their contact details can be found in the description of the video. Ferrari's latest track-focused convertible special doesn't come as a numbered edition, like the 458 Speciale Aperta, but instead will be rolled out in a limited production window. It is Ferrari's 50th convertible model, and comes with the most powerful V8 to ever power a Ferrari, and the biggest increase in power from its base model. These Pista models, being lightweight, track-focused variants of the standard 488 line, are based heavily on developments from the 488 Challenge and 488 GT race cars, and I will explore some of these influences throughout the video. Formed from a lightweight aluminium monocoque, the 488 Pista Spider comes in at 4,605mm long, 37mm longer than the standard 488 Spider, 1,975mm wide, 23mm wider, 1,206mm high, 5mm lower, and has a curb weight of 1,485 kilograms, 40 kilograms less, and a weight distribution of 41.5% at the front and 58.5% at the rear. We can now move to the powertrain. First, we need to unlatch the engine cover by pulling this lever up, found on the driver's side sill. Then moving around to the rear, we can lift the small cover up and self-support it on two struts. Looking down, the engine bay surround below is finished entirely in carbon, as standard, and we can really see how low and mid-rear mounted the engine is. The 488 Pista Spider is powered by an uprated version of the mid-rear mounted 3.7-litre twin-turbo V8 that is found in the standard 488. Here, it produces 710 brake horsepower and 770 Nm of torque, and revs up to 8,000 RPM. An increase of 50 brake horsepower and 10 Nm over the base 488 Spider, all provided by new components and tuning. This increased output results in a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 2.85 seconds, and a top speed of 211 mph or 340 km/h. That's 1.15 seconds faster to 62 and 8 mph faster top speed. When finished in the engine bay, the hatch can be easily brought down and fixed with a push in the middle. Now moving down to the wheels, we see this car is fitted with the optional lightweight forged 20-inch front and rear wheels with carbon center caps. Braking is provided by carbon ceramic discs at each corner, 398mm at the front and 360mm at the rear. The car's stability comes from an uprated and stiffened but lightweight aluminium independent wishbone system at the front and multi-link setup at the rear. This system comes with Magnaride magnetic adjustable dampers, aided by the third iteration of Ferrari's electronic differential at the rear. Now we've finished the model overview, we can start the exterior tour from front to back. The front of Pista still holds the general form of the standard 488, with the intakes on either side, but there are also significant changes that amount to a 20% air improvement over the standard 488. At the sides, there are new air release vents, finished here in carbon. Moving forward from these, we come to new winglets, also finished in the optional carbon. Above from these, the main side intakes have been softened in form and send air to the front brakes and cold air radiators that have actually been inverted to mimic the GT car and enhance cooling further. Moving centrally, the two upright slats have been removed, and now we find the entrance to the S-duct that we can see better from below. In the standard 488, air flows over the bonnet on either side from the intakes, but here, thanks to the S-duct and remodelled bonnet, it flows over the centre and then over the car for enhanced airflow and downforce. At the front of the bonnet and on either side, we find the LED lights, the same as in the standard 488s, with the main beam below and 6 LED daytime running lights ascending above. Moving back, we come to the raked back windscreen with 2 wipers below. Continuing back, we reach the roof, which we'll explore in more detail later in the video. Moving down on either side, we can focus on the car's lateral aspect. The side skirt at the bottom protrudes out more and has been reduced in length, now meeting the slope behind rather than running under it. Moving up, and we first come to the side dot indicators and very lightweight Scuderia shields. Then, as we start moving back, we come to the electrically folding and adjustable wing mirrors that hold the same slim sculpted form, as do the small, aerodynamically formed door handles behind. The grills in front of the main radiators behind these have lost the midline slat from the standard 488 and now have a new carbon design with 3 new inner inlets, all aimed at increased airflow and therefore cooling. Moving up from here and we come to a carbon panel behind the window. I believe this structure is unchanged from the standard 488. Continuing our journey back, but on the other side we find the circular fuel tank flap. It can be opened by pressing the button on the driver's side and reveals access to the car's 78 litre fuel tank. 488 Pista Spider returns a combined MPG of 22, and when finished here, the flap can be easily closed with a light depress. Below the rear of the roof, we find the retractable rear window that will be seen in more detail later in the video. Continuing back, and we come to the roof hatch and vented engine bay cover we saw earlier. Both of these structures are unchanged. Small portions of the wing have been removed on either side, and new vents have been added to further enhance cooling and air management. Behind these, the rear spoiler is now 30mm higher and 40mm longer to reach enhanced downforce at the rear, but still comes with the LED light array fixed centrally. Below and on either side of this are the circular LED rear light complexes for braking, reversing and indicating. However, the lifted wing has opened up the top of the rear and now sits on these body panels where carbon flows below. Due to the newly opened rear that allows far more air to pass through, the prancing horse's head needs to be supported with a small plastic frustrum. Moving down and laterally from this, we find new large openings behind the rear wheels, once again to enhance airflow and to reduce pressure inside the wheel arches. Moving in, the rear has been broken into 2 halves thanks to the enlarged diffuser. Each half contains essentially the same items as the standard 488, other than the new lighter Inconel exhaust, but is formed around a far more enlarged and extended diffuser. Now moving to the new central section, and we first find a large air vent. Then the race-inspired LED brake light and rear view camera complex that's carried over from the standard 488, but now with much larger fins on either side. Finally, we see how the diffuser comes with hidden flaps under the exhaust, and how it now extends out underneath the new air vents, and finishes with the new end plane. That concludes the exterior tour, so let's move inside. After unlocking the car with the standard Ferrari key, the very light door can be easily opened by putting the small handle and pulling outwards. This car was spec'd using Ferrari's tailor-made Atelier service, and as such, has many bespoke features on the inside that we will focus on in more detail as we progress. But we can start the interior tour with the doors. The top leather panel is the same as in the standard 488, and comes with the same tweeter speaker above the controls. The carbon panel below is new, and removes the quite large leather padded armrest and door handle. In their place is a slight shelf with a carbon door release at the end, a new leather pull for the door, but the same control for the electric mirrors. Below this, the previously leather-walled storage area has also been changed with a lightweight net used instead. Moving along, the buttons for the fuel cap and bonnet and the main JBL speaker remain. Moving left, we can move along the sill where we find a lightweight carbon kickplate with Atelier text. Moving in, we find another speaker and then exposed carbon as we move down, with the engine bay release hatch. This area would usually be upholstered in carpet in the standard 488. Then the electric parking brake buttons, controls for the exterior lights, and finally the control array for the right side of the driver's screens. To the left of this is the squared off steering wheel. It comes with the now well-known shift lights surrounded in carbon at the top, two-tone leather on either side with indentations for the horn and the indicators just below. Then on the left, buttons for beams, bumpy road suspension and the engine on-off button. Then carbon joining the left and right, where we find the Manatino to change the car's drive mode, wiper controls and the other indicator. Looking behind the wheel, we find the long carbon gear shifters for the car's F1 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Now pressing the red engine on-off button, we can turn on the screens and start the engine, which we can hear now. Returning to the interior, we can go through the driver's instrument cluster. It consists of 2 screens, either side of an analog rev counter, with an integrated digital gear selection display. Going from right to left, the right screen can be controlled using the controller to its right, that contains a multifunctional rotary, an on-off and volume button, with direct access buttons for back, main, options view and Apple CarPlay. On the screen, we can access the DAB digital radio. Then media for connected devices via USB and Bluetooth. Then Navi for the sat-nav, where destinations can be entered or selected, and the map can be zoomed in and out of using the rotary. The final 2 options here are for phone for calls and messages, and general setup. The left screen has its own control array consisting of another multifunctional rotary, pit speed rotary, and direct access controls for turbo, VDA and back. The left screen offers information for the drive modes, currently in sport, tyre temperatures and pressures, oil pressure and battery voltage, water and oil temperatures. Then turbo pressure, real-time turbo responsiveness to show how little lag there is, turbo efficiency. Then ESC status, vehicle dynamics, for safety systems and the differential, and lap timer. Here we can also view the trip, and finally further setup. If we go back into the drive mode selection screen, we can see how changing drive modes affects the different systems, from wet, sport to race. Moving up from here, and we find an unchanged instrument hood and leather upholstered dash. Then, as we move down the centre of this area, we start with the manually adjustable air vent, surrounded by optional carbon. Then a second carbon-clad air vent, this time for the passenger, then the left screen control array, button for the vehicle lift, and next control array. This one offers controls for the dual zone temperature and air direction system, but can also be used for AC, fan speed, and rear and front demist. The central column below has been simplified. Here it comes with a small pouch for the key and a single cup holder, all surrounded by carbon, with a small open storage area, here holding the tracker fob. The long gear select arm that acts as a bridge across this area in the standard 488 has been cut in half here and is now a slim carbon stalk that is used for reverse, automatic mode and launch control. The hazard light button that was on this bridge can now be found below with the simplified electric window controls, port window control and the button for the electric roof. Continuing back, and we come to a fully open, segmented storage area that offers 2 USB and 1 12-volt input. Moving behind this area, we find quite a generous storage shelf with netting and then nothing but a flat leather upholstered panel until we reach the rear window. On either side of this section, we come to the standard carbon racing seats, here upholstered in Nero leather with Rosso contrast stitching, with a tailor-made tricolore running down their centres. To save weight, these are manually adjustable, and can be moved back and forth using the bar at the front, and tilted using the bar to the side. We can access the shelf behind the seats by pulling the lever on the outside shoulder of the seats and tilting forward. Doing this also gives us a better chance to admire the exposed gloss carbon backs of the seats, and then once finished, move them easily back into position. Now moving over to the passenger's side, we find a small rotary to close and open the air vent under the 488 Pista Spider badge. There's no glove compartment under this, just a leather pad and the optional fire extinguisher in the footwell. Moving back to the driver's door, we can have a look at the car's main storage area by first pressing the button here. Then moving around to the front of the car, a small red lever needs to be pressed to the left before we can lift the bonnet up and position it on its struts. The bonnet is made from carbon fibre, making it very light, which you can feel when lifting or lowering it. Pista Spider offers 170 litres of boot capacity. This is down by 60 litres over the standard 488 due to changes to the front radiators. Looking inside, and we first find a leather belt on the left for one of the packs, which is currently sitting below with the red bagged car cover. The spec list is mounted to the back, and to the right another pack. Looking inside this, and we find it contains tyre repair and inflation equipment. Once finished, the bonnet can be easily moved down and fixed with a firm press at the front. The final exterior feature is the roof mechanism that is operated with the interior button we saw earlier. The roof of 488 Pista Spider lowers in 14 seconds and can be operated at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, the same as in the standard 488 Spider. Here we can also see the rear window being operated. However, this can be done with the roof up or down. With the roof back up, we can move inside to see the car's final features. On either side there are slim Alcantara upholstered sun visors. Between these we come to a control array for lock-unlock, tow preparation, parking sensors and the interior lights. And finally, the rear view mirror is ahead of these. So that concludes my in-depth exterior and interior tour and exhaust sound video of this 2020 Ferrari 488 Pista Spider that was for sale with Brownlee Motorcars at the time of filming. Please find all of their contact details in the description of the video. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.